What's up, guys? This episode of Roll Off Rundowns is a special one. It was filmed at our booth at the Waste Expo show with our new partner, Dumpsters.com. We sat down with Taylor, who's the Chief Logistics Officer of Dumpsters.com, to talk about this new integration, as well as ways that Dumpsters.com can get your dumpster business more rentals. There's a little bit of background noise because we're on the show floor, but I know you're going to love this episode. So let's jump right in.
All right, to kick things off here on the trade show floor of Waste Expo, let's start with the basics. So, can you give listeners a quick overview of what is Dumpsters.com?
Dumpsters.com, our company essentially started in 2009 as a third party, essentially a managed service provider or a waste broker. So we worked with local haulers in the Cleveland area market, started brokering out dumpster rental services through Cleveland and have since expanded. Since then, we rebranded into Dumpsters.com in 2014, and we unified as that's our only brand, our core brand. Just recently, we've aligned all of our brands into Dumpsters.com. We deal with residential customers, contractors at the local, regional, national level, and we're a managed service provider for dumpster rentals, portable sanitation services, storage containers, and temporary construction fencing. So we work with customers of all sizes based on their individual project needs, and then on the other side, we work with local hauling companies or site service providers to facilitate those orders and deliver them.
Very nice. Why does someone, like our customers are roll-off dumpster folks, why would they work with you?
So a lot of our customers, partners that we work with, they vary in size, just like our customer base. So we work with startup roll-off companies all the way up to the big 4 national companies. And a lot of them, just based on the lead generation that we have through our marketing efforts, our SEO, our paid media efforts, and also our outbound sales efforts, we have a pretty robust sales and marketing team that are generating a high volume of demand in the individual markets, again, locally, regionally, and nationally. So a lot of the way we talk to our partners is look at us as an extension of your sales or marketing teams to help drive a consistent volume. And we do it as one seamless customer through that hauling company. One simplified billing experience with us. They have a dedicated support team on our end that's working with them on a day-to-day. And we really work to eliminate a lot of the administrative waste that they would have to otherwise deal with all the varying customers.
Now, administrative waste, that is something I'm really excited about talking about. Not administrative waste, but I'm excited because Docket and Dumpsters.com just integrated with each other. We've been working on this for a while, and that makes it so much easier to get rid of some of that administrative waste. Can you talk about some of the, what would it be if you didn't have Dumpsters.com and Docket connected versus having that connection?
We're super excited about the integration. It's been great working with the Docket team and with some pilot hauling partners that are mutual partners of ours and customers of Docket's. Just starting with the order entry process. So we communicate our service request needs through an email communication that has a purchase order attached to it. And then on the hauler side, they have to receive that order via email, and then they'd have to go do the manual data entry into the Docket system. And then from there, they'd go through and assign it to your drivers and on the day-to-day order management side of it. So up front, it eliminates that data entry on the order entry side of it. And then coming to the day of the service, it integrates in. So as the hauling company is fulfilling that service, it communicates status updates directly back to our system, eliminating the need for a person on their team to communicate it to us or for our team to reach out to inquire about the status of it. And then closing the loop on the back end. So upon removal of that service, going to submit the invoices, document the weight, any weight tickets, any other documentation or pictures, all that information is fed seamlessly through the integration into our systems. Again, eliminating the manual nature of all that work on both sides, so the hauler side and then on our team side. So a lot of benefits, especially for partners that we do more volume with.
But I'm sure that you still, like, you just want more phone calls, right? Like, you guys don't have enough to do, so it's like, hey, like, the dumpster's there. Hey, the dumpster's not there.
Yeah.
Hey, and another email.
Yeah.
So, I'm obviously joking, but this is such a cool thing because automatically you're going to get those updates without anyone picking up the phone, without anyone writing an email. And you know that that job's been completed. You know that it's time to bill, and off you go. The job's completed.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like, we're all, even ourselves personally, just think about when you order something off of Amazon or any company, you're expecting the status updates along the way.
Yep.
Those are automatically delivered to you, so you have that full visibility. That's no different for dumpster rental customers. So the end customer, there's a huge benefit to them to get these real-time status updates as well. So it's not only a benefit to our company and our team to eliminate the administrative work on our end, but then on the hauler side, huge value to them to just automatically input that information. Again, they don't have to field all of the requests, and then it syncs over to us. So yes, it's definitely a benefit all the way around the cycle.
Nice. So, when you're starting out as a hauler, and one of the most common search terms is, dumpster rental leads in this industry, you guys have relationships. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand about brokers. It's like, hey, you're working with larger construction firms or whatever that want to deal with a single point of contact and not have to deal with someone for their fencing, someone for their dumpsters, someone for their portable sanitation. So they come to you, and you can feed leads through that relationship to haulers. Let's start with someone that's smaller. Like, let's say I live in the Austin area, I'm opening up in the Austin area, and I need some business. How would a broker help me with that?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways. So it starts off with the company either inquiring or reaching out to us. A lot of these haulers will find us through the SEO efforts, just like you described from the customer's perspective. So yeah, just reaching out. We have a dedicated partnerships team that will work with that hauling company to understand what they're looking to do, what are their goals for their business. Whether they have one truck and 30 dumpsters or 10 trucks and 300 dumpsters, or even beyond that, just trying to understand what their goals are, and then how we can support that. So yeah, if they're looking to grow and capture new residential work or get into the contractor work or more commercial related work, our team will work with them, understand where they want that work, what their capacity is, and then we'll work with them on a pricing structure that works, that we believe we can send the volume that they're looking to attain. Once that gets into our system, that's how we can seamlessly send it over to that.
Got it. Pricing is something that comes up a lot. Can you say more about how the pricing structure is agreed upon?
Yes, it all depends. It starts at the market level. So wherever the hauler, whatever their disposal capabilities are, it's a split between they either pay flat rate by yard at the disposal facility, or they pay a per ton rate. So understanding where they're disposing of their material, that kind of starts the conversation. And then from there, we move into kind of a customized approach that gives our company the flexibility to drive the volume that hauling company is looking to work with. So we know for a residential customer, we might structure the pricing to that customer a little bit differently than the larger GCs that are going through a commercial project that's going to have multiple swaps a day. So it really is customized down to that individual market level and based on what those haulers' capabilities are.
What about seasonality? Because there are times where, it's harder to get leads, it's harder to get business. And from a hauler's perspective, you could be small or you could actually be quite large and still suffer from the seasonality aspect of this game. Can you talk about how Dumpsters.com can help haulers keep things more even during those slow times?
Yeah, I think the whole country definitely had a harder Q1 this year with the winter weather, and it's definitely changed versus the past 5 to 10 years of winter weather that we've experienced across the country. So this year is a perfect example to talk through that. Previous years, it's been a little more consistent, smoother weather throughout the year. But yeah, based on the customer base that we've set up, we really have diversified. So because of our diversification, we have we go with the ebbs and flows of the volume of business. So we'll have permanent customers that have warehouses or manufacturing facilities that need consistent service on a weekly basis, regardless of weather. Then we'll work with residential customers that are doing more spring cleaning or fall cleanup or summer big, renovation projects. So we'll keep consistency with those, maybe a slowdown in the winter. So based on the variety of customers, and then working on the larger distribution centers and Amazon builds and Target and all the big companies like that, those different construction projects will take place throughout the year, and they'll last anywhere from 6 months up to 36 months. So those will have a consistent stream of work and needs for dumpster services throughout the year. So going back to the question, ultimately our diversification of our customer base helps keep that consistent stream of business throughout the year.
You brought up Target there, and I think that's just want to double down on, to get that kind of relationship. If you were, a smaller business with 50 cans, or maybe even, you got 500 cans, still very, very hard to get that kind of relationship. And so that's another example of like how business could be steadier throughout the year because you're using a broker that has the relationships with those bigger companies that have more work going on during those times of the year. So I think that's really neat. You also mentioned winter weather this year. We're recording this in May 2025. We're in Las Vegas. It's not snowing, so that's a good thing. But this year has been pretty weird. What are some of the trends you guys have seen so far this year?
Yeah, going back to the beginning of the year, the early January, things started off smooth, but there was that frost and that freeze that essentially hit across the entire country. So I think we saw it the second or third week of January on the West Coast, and it made its way all the way to the East Coast, going into early February. So that definitely had an impact and a slowdown from projects of all sizes. So that was a little bit of an outlier for us that we've experienced versus previous years. But during that time, our teams were really working with those customers. Those projects didn't cancel; they just got put on hold. So we stayed in touch with those customers to ensure that a seamless startup, when the weather cleared up, we could hit the ground running. So it was a little bit more of a pent-up demand at that point versus projects being all entirely canceled. Based on trends, we're definitely seeing the volume of bigger construction projects really starting to ramp up now. Again, a little bit slower than we've seen in previous years, but they're really starting to hit now that the weather across the country is starting to stabilize.
Got it. Well, thank God for that, because it was a weird beginning of the year.
Yeah, very strange.
What about, you guys have worked with thousands of customers. What's a success story that stands out to you?
This one will go way back. There's still a customer of ours. They buy up foreclosed properties, and they flip those properties, and then they'll renovate them, and then they flip them to sell them. And they need a high volume of dumpsters in scattered locations across several states. So starting with them in the southern Ohio market, by giving them a dedicated point of contact on our side, they have an account manager understanding their project needs. We were able to get them dumpsters with a pretty quick turnaround because of the networks of partners that we operate with. And we were able to provide a very consistent level of service to that customer to the tune where they've grown significantly year over year. And we've been working with them now for, I'd say, 10 to 14, 15 years. And their volume has only grown because they can rely on us more and more, versus them having to go and source, hundreds of different hauling companies to provide those services. So I'd say from them, very similar to what we've described on the integration that we're excited for with Docket for our hauling partners, we've been able to provide a very seamless, single point of contact and more touchless order experience for that customer.
Nice. Speaking of technology, we're excited because we have this integration with each other. That obviously makes things a lot easier. Is there anything else that you're seeing trend-wise with technology that has helped haulers?
I think, as you can see on the floor here, the technology and software companies to support hauling companies has definitely grown. We're seeing a lot more of the software companies picking up. We're seeing it now even on the scale side of things. So when the drivers are going to the waste disposal facilities, we're seeing technology on that side that's helping automate some of the processes. So really, from the hauler's perspective, just many different software capabilities and technology capabilities to really help them enhance their operations to become more efficient and more effective. So we're seeing a lot more haulers move away from the old whiteboards and pen and paper and notepads and sticky notes. But we do still travel around and we meet with haulers that are very much operating out there. So we very much encourage our partners to explore the technology opportunities so they can keep up with the latest trends.
I would expect that when you're working with a hauler that's using the whiteboard versus working with a hauler that's using some kind of software, that it's easier reporting wise and whatnot, especially to if you're looking at your business you did with dumpsters.com for the year, or want to grow or something like that. It's really hard to do that with whiteboards and note cards.
Absolutely. And in fact, we're a hauling company ourselves in Cleveland, Ohio. We have 20 trucks and roughly 1,000 roll-off dumpsters. We started with 3 trucks and around 100, 150 dumpsters, but we started with the software right away when we launched that business. If we did not start with that software, trying to implement a software later on, it definitely would have been challenging. We still would have done it to be able to scale up, but just all that paperwork and keeping up the tracking and reporting, the end customer, the needs, there's a lot more requests for reporting and visibility into where the waste is going and what was the dumpster, what was the weight of the dumpster, and where did it end up at. So to try to keep up with all that on a whiteboard or a stack of papers can be very challenging.
Yeah. This next question is going to be different for everyone depending on where they are in their stage of running their business. But if you're just starting out, is it fair to say that having a larger percentage of leads coming from brokers is a good way to jumpstart your business? And then as you grow, is there a percentage that, to keep that seasonality or just to keep a steady stream of business, what have you seen percentage-wise of their own customers versus the leads that they get from you guys?
Yeah, it definitely varies. Just as I described our customer diversification on our end customer, I think it's good for all businesses to diversify so they're not putting all their eggs in one basket. Depending again where that company is on their startup phase, we might start off, or they might work with the broker to be 50 to 75, even up to 90% of their work is coming through that. I think as they grow and scale up, I would expect that probably drops down to less than 50% of their work. As they're building up their local brand in their market, they're going to attract the local residential or local contractors that we aren't even necessarily working with as closely as they are. So I think over time that percentage will probably go down. But again, we've seen it across the board from depending on what that hauler wants. A lot of them really prefer to lean into a third-party provider like us or a partner like us because they don't want to build up that office staff, or they don't have a sales team that they're going out and pounding the table. So kind of a long answer, but no one answer there.
Got it. I was wondering, as you were saying that, a lot of these dumpster companies, they're looking to grow by purchasing other dumpster companies and whatnot, and you're moving into a new area. Talk to me about, you guys have quite a footprint across the U.S. How helpful is it if you already have a relationship with dumpsters.com, if you're purchasing someone else, or even if you just want to expand your service area, how helpful is it to get a jump start by using you to get those leads?
Great question. So that's a very frequent conversation that we have with a lot of our partners. Again, going back to, I think, one of the first questions, just going back to understanding what that company's goals and plans are for their growth. So we have the benefit of having a lot of data down to the zip code level, at the market level, at the regional, the state level. So we really leverage our data to have those conversations with those companies to give them a better understanding of what's going on in that market. We've deterred haulers from maybe going into one market and going to a different market based on the trends that we've been seeing. So yeah, I think just the power of the data that we have from all of our demand, our customer data, our project-based data, to help facilitate those conversations with them. Obviously, we don't want to, instruct them one way or the other. We just want to support those conversations if they're in between decisions. We can give them an idea if we can help jumpstart their business pretty quickly, or maybe it's a market that we'll have to put in a little bit more work from either our marketing or our outbound sales efforts to help build that up.
I love that you can leverage your data, so it's almost like a cheat code for the hauler to say like, hey, I don't have the data to go look to see if this is a good market to move into, but you guys might, and so that's a real advantage, I think.
Yeah, and outside of the customer data, our team of strategic partnership managers, we have the country divided into 4 territories. So they've been working in those territories. They very much understand those individual states and markets within there. They understand the layout of the disposal facilities and the options. So again, not only our customer data, but a really good understanding of what's going on in that market. There are different franchises in different states. Some markets are very heavily franchised, and you can only work with one hauling company. Other franchise areas, they open it up to any haulers as long as they go through the franchising licensing process. So our team is very well versed in understanding of what's going on in that market. So we also use that data and those insights to have the conversation with the haulers to help them make those decisions.
Got it. If someone does not currently work with you, and again, you could be small, you could be medium, you could be large, how do they get in touch with you guys?
So yeah, there's several different ways that we'll get in touch with haulers. Many of them will find us online or through being referred by another company or another hauler that they know, whether it's within their market or a different market. A lot of these companies have their own network of friends or acquaintances that have their own businesses. So we do get a lot of referrals that reach out to us. And then we'll also reach out to companies in the various markets just to get an understanding of their size, scope, and scale and what their goals are to see if they might be a good fit. But yeah, in the scenarios where the hauling company is reaching out to us, as I described previously, we have that team of strategic partnership managers. They review that request. They'll ask a series of questions just to get a better understanding, again, of the size of the company, what they're looking to do, what are their capabilities and their capacity. And ultimately it comes down to if that hauling company is looking to grow, they have capacity, and they're willing to commit to an agreement with us, then that's what it takes to proceed forward with the conversation about building out the custom arrangement with them. So we just need to understand their service area. So do they service a list of cities or a list of zip codes, maybe a full county, multiple counties, a certain radius around their location. So we commit to an agreed upon service area. And then we jump into the capacity to understand, what is their capacity on a daily basis? Can they accept 1 or 2 orders a day? Can they accept 10? Can they accept 30, 50 orders a day? And then what is their scheduling availability? So can they do same day? Can they do next day? Do they have weekend availability? So understanding those, and then what are they willing to commit to from that perspective? And then based on all those factors, and then an earlier topic we talked about pricing, understanding what their disposal capabilities are. So it's those several factors that we work towards an agreement on, and then from there we work to get them implemented into our system, and we introduce them to our full sales and service teams as an available partner to work with and begin selling with.
That's awesome. Lots of good information so far in this episode. If you want to leave our haulers and our audience with one thought, what would it be? Like, what advice would you give them about working with a broker like you guys?
So yeah, great question. I think very similarly to how I described our vetting process and working with the haulers to understand, if they're going to be a good fit for us. I think very similarly, they need to do their homework on brokers as well. There's many other brokers out there in the space. We work with many of them that have provided a great experience for us. There are many that haven't provided a great experience. So Going back to what we are as a consistent partner to these hauling companies, we're reliable from our order management process, from our communication process, all the way through to the payment side of things. So I would say just do your homework, ask questions, understand what the broker's capabilities are and what their reliability and commitments are to you when you're exploring that idea. And then there are other risks associated with working with brokers that might be going through their heads. So could they get that on? Could they generate that business themselves within the market? Can they generate the business from more of a regional or national perspective? So the customers that you're generating. So I think just ultimately the way we operate is trying to come up with a custom agreement that works with you. So it comes back to what you're looking for and how we can be a good partner.
Nice. Well, if you're a hauler that's thinking about working with dumpsters.com, definitely check these folks out. They're the real deal. They're super nice to work with. It's all about the relationships, as we know in this industry. So, Taylor, I just want to say thank you so much for this episode, and we'll see you on the next one.